Up until now, life has hit you a few hard knocks, but now you can rebuild midlife confidence and maximise your self-esteem. This is done in two parts. One, how midlife can rebuild your confidence after years of self-doubt. And two, how to rebuild self-esteem when life has knocked you about. Your confidence disappears in midlife. Yes, it does for sure. But there is an evidence-based roadmap to get it back. I'm a best-selling author and I'm middle-aged. And I'm going to give you the science on it now and my takeaways throughout this video. We're looking at it now to see how midlife can rebuild your confidence after years of self-doubt. So let's get straight to it. Whoops. Heads or tails, crisis or opportunity, because it's two sides of one coin. The Chinese way of things, that's the way they think, more so. Now let's look at the research by Nielsen, and he looks at a study exploring why certain hospital departments maintain better health mentally and lower sick leave despite stressful conditions. He found that work, pride and confidence supported by strong leadership, teamwork and trust were key drivers to the workplace success. Now for middle-aged men in whatever industry you're in, this is important because we can redirect it. Whatever's in the research can help us. Do you remember the speech by Jimmy Carter in 1979, A Crisis in Confidence? Well, the research claims it. And this speech argues that America's biggest problem at the time wasn't economic, it was a loss of confidence, purpose, and sheer direction. People felt disconnected, uncertain about their future, and overly focused on material success instead of meaning and collective goals. Now, both texts I just mentioned from the research highlight the same underlying issue at different levels, whether it be in the workplace or at a national level. That confidence and purpose are foundational. When people are low in belief in work, leadership or future, performance, health and unity begin to collapse. So let's reclaim them. How? Well, in work, build a personal work pride. By taking ownership of your contribution, you're doing a great thing for yourself. Focus on the mastery, that will give you pride and it protects against burnout. Try to strengthen your sense of purpose. Know your why, because your work matters. Yes, indeed, this comes from the research. Link daily tasks to bigger outcomes. When you're scrubbing away in the corner, know that you're scrubbing away at life outside of your 9 to 5 and that problem can be solved that's coming to mind. Purpose drives long-term resistance and resilience too. Prioritize trust in relationships, be it in work or at home, because building strong-term workplace connections are so important. You'll feel better after the 9 to 5. Support your colleagues when you can and seek support, and don't be afraid to open out and say, even if I'm a leader, sure, look, I need a hand now and then, because trust reduces stress and isolation. Try to seek an environment with good leadership. It's easy enough to say, I went to this workplace because of the great leaders, the owner and so on, and now I'm being promoted. Yes, brilliant. But maybe you need to go to another job. Maybe you're in your different department. Maybe you need to go to another job. Maybe you're in a different department. Maybe you'll be deployed. Maybe you're out on your own. So you still have to get good people around you, or at least good leadership traits. If you can't, this is a very good type of channel to go to because you get the research. You're going to get books. You're going to get good things that you can learn from. Courses, short courses, driving the car to and from work. Remember the old book on tape? Well, we're old enough to know. Try to avoid purely transactional workplaces. Leadership directly impacts well-being. So we have to balance it in some way or another. Lean on people, they're there for you. Take control if you can though, where possible, but not by denouncing others, not by pushing them out. Try to increase your autonomy in your role in some ways, but delegate in other ways. Well, let's put it this way. If you're doing it in one way and you're stressed, try and do it in another way. Try and bring people on board, utilize their skills, look through the resume, look deeper to what maybe something they did in a summer job as a student and use that skill. Make decisions then. Don't just follow orders. People that are micromanaging are great, super, we love them. They put in the effort, but they got to make the big decisions. People will disrespect you otherwise. So control improves mental health and well-being. And speaking of which, I feel better if you like the video. If you appreciate it, thank you so much. You can make a comment too, or no, well, that's grand, it's negative, but I'll understand, I'll try and improve. And then you can subscribe, maybe now, that'll do. Thank you so much. Now, develop a learning mindset, because I was speaking with a young person the last day in a company. I said, look, just because you've got all these badges and all these certificates, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you're starting off at the very bottom. It's a game of snakes and ladders. You've got to get up that ladder and you might fall back down again, but that's the competitive environment. So make sure you're continually building skills, adapting to the environment, adapting to the competition and going further. There's always a way of collaboratively learning, so you can actually get to know your peers, trust, build rapport, build that great culture, and also learn, because growth reinforces confidence between yourselves and your relationships, in your thought process to try and create and innovate as well. Avoid the material success trap. We often get into that trap ourselves. Don't define success only by money, big cars, big watches. It's fake. Because if we focus on meaning and contribution, having a big why, answering that for ourselves, that will truly drive us on, get us something we need when we fall down. Try to reconnect with your community and have shared goals. The older you get, and you will do, the more you want to connect and look back on memories of doing those things with great people. So if you can engage in teamwork and collective purpose, it's a natural thing to do. Try to move away from individual only. That doesn't mean to say you can't do things on your own. That doesn't mean to say even if you're a leader, you can't go fishing, play golf, things like that. But have a time and place for everything. Because shared goals certainly will really build motivation in the shorter term. Address your lack of confidence directly. Okay, don't be sitting on the fence. There's a thing called self-confidence, but there's also a thing called self-leadership, and recognize it. Recognize that motivation is declining, that you need these things, that little push from within yourself. Take proactive steps to rebuild it. You need it. It's like a bandage. You need to keep refreshing the bandage, and it will grow back eventually, because confidence is core driver of action. So keep pushing yourself forward. Try to adopt a solution-oriented mindset and focus on what can be improved. Look at the unrealistic things and leave them on the outside, because you'll only have more frustration if you try to concentrate on the wrong things, because action restores a sense of control. My final takeaway from looking at the research is, well, the real danger isn't stress, it's losing belief in what you're doing and why you did it for the first place and how you're going to keep on doing it. These two works that I've just shared, the research, is firstly, whether in a hospital or look in a country, in a company, even in an organization, it depends always on confidence, purpose and connection. Without them, even capable people will lose motivation. So there's a confidence crisis for sure with men in middle age. Well, at least some men. But there are also reasons to be cheerful at this age too. As you see, there are men that are confident. So let's look at how. Right now, let's look at how you can be a more confident man in your 40s. Of course I'm confident, because that's what the research says. We'll get into that in a second. But first, imagine in your 40s right now that you're not confident within. You seem to be successful from the outside. Your children, maybe you're single and you have all the ladies, and maybe it's a thing where the money is rolling in, but in fact you don't feel that way. We'll delve into the research right now, because in this first piece of research in Fiona, Geshtoff and Lockman, researchers have argued that midlife, in your 40s that is, has been misunderstood, because it's been widely accepted that those that are coming into the 40s are like having a midlife crisis. A review found that only about 10 to 20% of those that come into this age group or age bracket in their 40s are actually going to experience a midlife crisis. So leadership control, decision-making ability and so on are going to be vastly changed because of that. It's time in your 40s to grow up and maybe to be successful. Well, a lot of people see it from the outside, and in a second article by Time magazine, they say in a concurrent way that yes, we agree. Like, here's what happens in the 40s. Men are feeling more confident in general. They have that ability to open out in the social roles they're expected to be in. They can have career leadership, and there are other factors more so that strengthen or should strengthen their confidence. If it's not happening to you though, there are 10 solutions, and let's dig into them and see how we can get that for you. Firstly, you need to stop interpreting pressure as a factor for performance. Now, this is coming from the research that we've mentioned. Midlife overload is normal. To have all of these things going on, to be either in a relationship or still seeking a relationship and having that pressure of time, or having the relationship where you have children, or a bit of both. Then not only that, you perhaps have elderly parents or elderly people in life that you have to keep an eye on and do things for. Then that's just outside of work. You have all these pressures within yourself. Oh my gosh, time is going, it's slipping by. This is normal. Multiple roles create hidden stress. Feeling stretched is normal. Welcome to midlife through the entry of the 40s. But that stretched feeling does not mean that you are not going to succeed. It doesn't mean that you're weak either. It's what others in their 40s are feeling. Now think about all the different industries in the world, not just your own. Think about all the different countries in the world. Other people and men are feeling that, not just now as you watch this video, this point in time, not just the point in time that this was recorded, but in fact, this is general research over the years. So what do? We need to reframe the 40s as a leadership stage in life. We have to grab hold of it and say that you possess accumulated experience enough to actually improve on what you're doing. If it hasn't happened for now, or others on the outside see you as a success, but you really don't feel that way, you can grab hold of it and use what you already know. Your judgment has improved over decades. Yes, there's a couple of decades in your adulthood alone, not to mention going back and thinking about childhood here and thinking about all the things you're good at, all the things and the ambitions you had, all the things you thought you'd have in life, or the feeling more so. Very important. The feeling that you thought you'd have by the time you got to this point in life. So we have to mold ourselves into that feeling by having leadership maturity. And by doing so, this often peaks around now in your 40s. So your decision-making capacity can improve. You could be less shy, less anxious. Sure, that's another thing. However, your ability and the style that you have, it's pretty much cemented right now. So begin to use it. You need to audit your roles. I mentioned a couple of roles earlier on. So try to go through them, look at the time sink of it all. Write down everything you do and every responsibility you have. Is there a way of spending time in a better way? Is there a way of saving time in a better way? Should you be delegating certain things? And when I say that, not only in work, but it could be in personal life too. Is that eldest son or daughter ready for a little bit more responsibility with an older adult or something in your life? Maybe there. Identify unnecessary commitments too. That's very, very helpful, because if you're putting in too much time or spending too much time at one thing or with one person in work, in meetings, for example, I have lots of videos on that. There's loads of ways of cutting the cord on that and doing it in a different, more efficient way. Reduce the invisibility of it all. What? The invisibility of the burdens that you have. There's people pulling on you, whatever direction you look at, be it work, be it personal life, be it wanting more, be it yourself pulling on yourself. You've got to push yourself in the right direction with this research. You need to rebuild your control beliefs. If you're lacking that belief, reconstruct it, okay? If we're having a house here, we need to take the blocks up a little bit. Go back a stage or two, no problem. I was fresher, I was better, I was more energetic maybe 2, 5, 10 years ago. Okay, you're still 40s, it's cool. So rebuild it. Focus on what you can influence, not what you cannot. Small wins need to be celebrated in certain ways so they restore your confidence. Even if you haven't had confidence up until now, go get it, tiger. This is the time to do it. Confidence grows from action. So doing one small thing possibly well will improve things along the way. Now, with that in mind, if you like this video, please like it, please comment, and we can have a conversation. I can help you personally, and subscribe for more. Try to update your skills as well. Retraining reduces fear of becoming outdated. And that's a natural fear. I remember having the phone call with a good friend of mine, and he's in a totally different industry as me. And he'd done all this training and extra training and so on. And then boom, he couldn't leave the position he was in because there was no positions out there, and he was applying and he wasn't getting anything back. And he thought, oh, it's my age group now. So there's a fear that we can remove. Try new learning, because new learning builds momentum. So and we had this conversation with regard to the learning he had, not just the qualification he got from that, to bring that into the job applications, to show that maturity, that experience. Have the adaptability, because if you have it, it increases leadership confidence. Try to invest in your physical health. You are a couple of decades older, so we need to make sure we're getting the very most blood from the orange. Exercise improves energy and you can filter that into your workload then as well. And better health then supports your confidence. Now, I did touch on the fact that you could be single or indeed in a relationship or have children or a lot of people as dependents on you in your personal life, or even in work. You might get on with the boss, you might be the boss, you might be isolated. Now, isolation reduces resilience. Keep that in mind. Try to use generativity as fuel though. Mentor younger colleagues. You'll almost take the energy from them and be able to fuel yourself going forward and share your experience in that way. There's something natural about getting things out of the mouth yourself, and then you go, God, I remember when I was that age, and then you'll retrace your steps and refuel yourself in that way by sharing your experience. Teaching others reinforces your own value in yourself, what you have to give. In this time of technology, it's surely very beneficial to feel that self-establishment and self-worth essentially going into your work and life. Redefine your success. What does it mean to you now? I mentioned also previously looking at yourself when you're younger, looking forward, but what do you want to look at in the next 20 years or so at yourself? Where do you want to be? Re-establish where things are going within yourself. Times have changed, technologies and the whole world and economy's changed. They change in a day, one button, one press, one different decision by a so-called leader in the world, and the whole thing changes and you have to change with it. So redefine the success by stop comparing yourself to your 30-year-old self or what you thought you would be when you were younger. That's gone. Leadership now evolves over time, and your leadership can evolve too with what you already know in your personality and leadership types. Growth now is about depth, not speed. So stop. Use that little bit of pensiveness in your 40s and go, okay, I'm here. Where am I going though? I've had this conversation with myself before, maybe in my 20s or teens or whatever else. Well, this is a time to just retrace those steps in that way. And then build evidence of progress. Track weekly achievements. Try to look at this periods of time in a tighter vein so that it doesn't go off and a year later you go, oh my gosh, like I'm a year older and what did I do? I had that great plan a year ago because I hit 40. Record positive feedback, even if it's little tidbits of what people say. My own thoughts reflect what I said at the very beginning, right? That a lot of people would have previously thought, oh, you're in your 40s, you're slowing down, I'm old and crotchety and all of these kind of things, I'm stiff. No. And then you have that reflection in work. No, not at all. In fact, it's a time of perspective. It's a time of looking at the capacity you still have and being wise from what you've learned today, hopefully in this video, from the great research. So there's nothing less to say except enjoy your 40s. Not everybody will be confident though, but if they are, they may not look as if they are. So it is important to know how to appear confident when others see you lacking. So let's look at it right now. Can't do it, can't do it, I can't do it. You might think that. Or you may have noticed that some colleagues seem to rise faster, not because they're better, because they look more confident. You start to wonder, is success less about what you do and more about how others perceive you, your effort? Yeah, this research shows that appearing self-confident and not just being confident strongly affects the influence and your influence at work. However, while men gain influence directly from appearing confident, women, on the other hand, must also show the pro-social, likable, cooperative side of things in their behaviour. A second article by Sturdy, Blocktonhurst, with Stanley and Littlejohns show that management as a self-confidence trick shows there's an argument that much of professional success is not about applying knowledge, but instead about developing a sense of self-confidence and identity. They say that MBAs or having those big qualifications work less by teaching skills and more by giving people the language and confidence to appear credible and legitimate. Both articles are interesting, right? These articles reveal a deeper truth. Success at work is not just about confidence, it's also about confidence as performance. One shows that appearing confident shapes influence, while the other shows that confidence itself is often constructed, learned, and performed as a social signal. So how can we bring it all together then? We'll prioritize visible confidence. Results alone are not enough. Others must see your confidence. So going and beating your chest, if you don't have it all and you don't feel it, you need more. Perception drives influence. Try to understand confidence as a social signal. Remember what I said about the women. You as a man have to put all that energy into confidence signals, the capability and the control aspect of things. People trust confident individuals. Influence often follows perception. So if you are faking it till you make it, guess what? Master the language of authority. Confidence is expressed through commanding language. Master the language of authority. Confidence is expressed through communication. Try to use clear, decisive language. Try to use your native language if you can. And if not, be simplistic with the words you use in the foreign language that you're using. Language builds credibility, and the specific words you use are so important. Develop performative confidence. That means that confidence is partly a performance. Not exactly, like I said, fake it till you make it. It's more that you're fulfilling the prophecy. Behavior shapes the perception. Acting confident can temporarily create real confidence, because if you allow it to lead you and you're genuinely, thoroughly trying to learn, it will bring you along the way, almost like guidelines when you're doing the, join the dots. Try to align performance with visibility, because high performance must be noticed. And if you communicate your achievements strategically, it's a very good thing. Silent competence is often ignored, so don't be afraid to put it as a line on your resume. Now look, if you like this video, please show it by liking it and also comment, good or bad. We'll have a discussion and subscribe too. Moving on. Build credibility through consistency. Confidence must be repeatable and repeated, because consistency then, in a good way, builds trust. And who does it build trust with? The people. That's why you get up the chain of command. Trust then increases your influence. Even though you might be a junior manager, people are saying, that's something good about that person. Recognize the role, if you can, of identity, because work shapes how you see yourself, and identity influences behavior, and strong identity then supports confidence. It's like a snowball effect that's improving all the way along. Try not to rely though just on your skills, on your technical expertise, because knowledge alone doesn't guarantee influence. Rather, the expertise must be communicated confidently. Confidence amplifies skill. Manage impressions consciously. Others from wherever department, no matter whether they're further away or right in front of you in your office, they have opinions, and they can have quick judgments if they're further away as well, because confidence affects those judgments. Be intentional about what you're doing, who you're saying it to, and what message you're conveying, and accept that confidence can feel artificial, because it often starts as learned behavior, but it may feel like a performance magnet. My final takeaway is that the real problem is not a lack of ability, it's invisible confidence. One article showed that influence depends on how confident you appear, while the other showed that confidence itself is often something that you can construct, not inherit. And for us men our age, the lesson is clear. Your experience gives you competence, but your visibility gives you power. So you can appear confident, but the other side of the coin is that your confidence can fail at any time in middle age. It's something that we've outlined a little bit earlier in this video. So there are different types of confidence that we need to be aware of. Let's look at them right now. I'm confident, but it doesn't matter according to the research. It's more about the type of confidence that you have to become a great leader. That's what we're looking at right now. You have problems maybe as a leader and you're a confident person, but it doesn't really matter. I'm a best-selling author and a full-time researcher, and I'm in my 40s, a leader. Research examined military leaders and explored how leadership and self-efficacy influenced leadership. They found a distinction of leadership assertiveness efficacy, which is confidence in making decisions and leading others. This predicted developmental leadership, but also Leadership control efficacy, which is remaining calm while emotionally controlled, did not consistently predict stronger leadership performance. Now, in a second article, it strengthens their findings. Researchers studying leadership in environments such as business found that leadership self-efficacy generally predicted that leadership effectiveness was there, but that the relationship became more complicated when task complexity increased. This matters to us in our 40s as leaders, as men, is because we know that context matters, pressure matters, and complexity matters, because again, that's what the research is saying to us. So how can we solve the problem of mid-career or men in their 40s? Rebuilding leadership confidence. Well, stop equating calmness with leadership confidence. It's not necessarily that calmness and leadership confidence are aligning together. Remaining composed does matter for sure. It's a very good starting point. But if we jump off it too quickly and assume that confidence is the only way that's going to guide us forward, that's where there's a big mistake. Remember that composure alone does not automatically create leadership. And it doesn't automatically create people that want to follow you, that feel confident that you're confident, and therefore they should be led by you. To distinguish between confidence and action. Many leaders believe, say, if I felt more confident, I'd lead better. So it's just a matter of confidence. But no, the research is saying differently, because it's suggesting that action often strengthens confidence, not only the reverse. Now, if you build decision confidence, it's a better thing than looking at general confidence and all. Leadership assertiveness includes, according to the research, making decisions. Now, if we stop on that point for a second, there's a lot of decisions we have to make in a day. As a man in our 40s, we may be looking after people like older people. We may be looking after younger people like children. We may be looking after people in work as a boss. And with all of that, there's many, many decisions. People are inconsistent, and therefore we have to make decisions for the better of them. But also, if we're in business, we have to be looking at the bottom line, the bucks, the lula, and the money that keeps these people in jobs so that they're not emotional at all. I might be coming across as if leadership is a tough thing, but remember, there are also wins in leadership. They might only be very small, but you need to use those small leadership wins, because self-efficacy develops through successful experiences. By looking on the previous experiences prior to this video, they might be negative. You might have been attracted to the topic of this video because of challenges with your confidence within your leadership. But that doesn't mean to say there's not small wins right now, even today, even as you're thinking through different things in management that you have right now, or leadership aspects in your life. Stop interpreting complexity in this way, then we're going to be more successful. Complex environments weaken confidence, performance, and relationships. If you're, say, asking, is this hard because I'm weak? Or is this genuinely difficult? These are normal questions to have right now. But there's certainly questions that you have to have going forward if you want to improve your confidence in your decision making, in yourself as a leader going forward in any aspect of your business or life. You need to audit your leadership story. I touched on taking out an iPhone or a pen and paper, and this is really good. We can take a diary of this because we need to write down recent wins. Let's broaden it out now from the tiny wins. Maybe there's bigger wins. There might only be one, but there's certainly one in one aspect of your life. There has to be leadership within your relationship, or relationships at work, or within older people, or even friendships. Just grasp onto one recent win and build from there. Just take it all apart. Look at the ingredients. Why did you make the decision in that regard, in that way, at that time? Another thing we need to do is practice developmental leadership. Researchers linked confidence within these studies with inspiring others, role modeling, and motivating teams. You can bundle all these three things together. These are great leadership traits, in that you walk into a room and suddenly a person goes, that is a leader. Don't have to have a badge on them. I know they're the leader because they're being decisive. They're practicing developmental leadership. They're showing the practice. That means you can take all the nuggets of the past, even if you failed at your leadership, if you're not confident in it, and you can take them all apart, put them back together, and now you're practicing. It's actually a verb. It means there's action there with regard to trying to improve. If people see that you're trying to improve, if people see that you're trying to make the best decision, you'll get there. Leadership is influence, not certainty, all of the time. Try to reduce your hidden stress load. It's there. Just acknowledge it. You don't have to tell everybody. You don't even have to tell me in the comments, but welcome down below, because confidence falls under excessive strain. Try to review your workload. If you can just take away one little thing a day, or even one little thing at a certain time of day that irritates you, then you are reducing the potential for stress. Uncertainty can also be a pusher towards stress. And we mentioned relationships. There could be one person there that makes you feel very uncertain. So get them out as much as possible of your life. Role overload. You can be pushed with different things too that overload the role, and we need to decrease them. We need to specify exactly what's beneficial and what is not. Be efficient in our progress. But if you rebuild it through contribution, you're going to have a benefit, because mentor younger colleagues will bounce the information back to you. You teach, you'll feel good, and with teaching you'll start looking at the theory and what should happen. It'll also remind you of things you did well in the past. Try to guide, because rebuilding through contribution helps rebuild not just your mentee, the coachee, the person that you're helping, but it helps you to remind yourself as you're driving away from the session that, gosh, I used to make decisions in a different way. Leadership confidence often returns when leaders notice what they've missed out on. And the great thing about it is you can redefine your leadership strength. Younger leaders often rely on energy. You're a little bit older, but you're not ancient. You're in your mid-40s or 40s, somewhere along the line. But your mid-career leadership often leads with judgment. You'll sound judgment. You're going to be better because of this video, I hope. Your perspective, that's where the research is coming from, to give and feed into your personal perspective. And you have, or should at least have, more emotional maturity at this time. Now, these studies suggest a powerful message for men trying to rebuild their leadership confidence. Leadership is not simply believing in yourself. Effective leadership comes from acting, deciding, adapting, and continuing. And my last piece of my takeaway for your bonus is that it's about you and your personal perspective. So right now, after this video, you can go ahead and improve. Okay, with all that said and done now, it's time to look at the daily habits that will guarantee confidence for you. I always sleep every day in a 24-hour period, so do you, I'm sure, because that's a daily habit. But we're looking at what daily habits help men in our 40s regain decisiveness and self-belief. We often tell ourselves and other people to believe in yourselves, but the research right here is telling us very different. We're going to look into it right now. Most people think that confidence creates action. This research is different. Rather, it says that action creates confidence, and repeated action eventually creates identity. Now, the first study that I'm looking at examined habit building and self-efficacy using an app that tracked repeated behaviors. Now, the research found that general self-efficacy predicted stronger habit automaticity. Habit-specific self-efficacy and automaticity reinforced one another in a kind of a feedback loop. Now, the great thing about this loop was that it was positive, because greater self-efficacy predicted less motivational interference, therefore less procrastination, resistance, less distraction overall. But it's not the only study we're looking at here, because the second one is all about finding out where self-efficacy came from. Researchers also found that mastery experiences, therefore the success experiences or feelings of success that we can have as a middle-aged man, well, that breathes into the stronger source of self-efficacy. Not positive thinking, not inspiration, and certainly not motivation, but repeated successful experiences feed into this self-efficacy. So what these two research articles are saying, that there can be a reverse here in what people often think, in that confidence equals action equals success. But in the research is saying that small success then brings confidence, then brings habits, then brings more success. Now, the second article also found that positive emotional states and self-persuasion actually mattered, but neither approached the influence of mastery experiences. So you believe yourself most after the evidence accumulates, is what this research is saying. So how can we have this rebuilding of our leadership confidence within our self-mastery, our self-belief, and our decisiveness? Well, number one, we can shrink the goal until success is nearly guaranteed, because self-efficacy grows through mastery experiences. So what does this mean then? Well, be a little bit itty-bitty easier on ourselves, not saying to ourselves, okay, I need to exercise daily. Instead say, I walk 10 minutes. Not saying to yourself, I need to write a book, but I write 100 words. And then we start getting into the habit loop from here on in. It also says that we should build repetition before intensity. It means that our habit strength increases through repeated performance. Frequency matters more than heroic effort. That means that if you're trying to write the book, write 10 words today. Write 5 words if that's all you can. Now you might fall down on the 5 words and start reading them out loud and saying to yourself, this is absolute rubbish. But you've still written 5 words. Tomorrow, 6. That's okay, and make them better. Little incremental steps makes you run a mile. Also, stop depending on motivation. Booyah! Motivation fluctuates. This is a human state, and in our 40s as men we can have hormonal issues too. Let's not get too deeply into that right now. Automaticity though reduces mental effort. So putting aside the actual motivation for now, try to create routines that function even on low energy days. That means a weekend, or if you're having a night out, or if you're going somewhere and you're going to be up late or something like that. Just have the routine penciled in with regard to the day that's off or the day that you're late or something like that. What you want to do is create actual action. Try to create environmental triggers as well, because habits rely heavily on cues. For example, after coffee, you write. That's the thing you do. So socially, you go for coffee, you have a time with a friend, and then they go. And you're outside the coffee house, and then you take out your notebook, and off you go, and you write your few words. Or after work, you exercise. It's just a thing you do. You avoid traffic, and you go into the gym. Or after dinner, you reflect on things. You put those little actions, one thing leads to another. It's like the Sunday night and that dreaded feeling before school, and the Monday morning, the big week ahead of something you hate doing. Put in something that you're lifting after it and that creates a new habit, and the trigger is before it. Try to track your evidence, not your feelings. We are emotional beings. We come to 40. We come to a little bit more after 40, and the numbers start going up. But if we track our evidence, we're going at the facts of things, because confidence improves and success becomes visible. Keep simple records. You have your phone now, there's a wealth of, a depth more of space for information. It's up to you to put the right information there to track the evidence. So simple like records of your workouts, and it doesn't have to be, remember back in the day you had a big cardboard evidence that you had to clunk around the gym with you. You had to oh yeah, I got 5 out of 10 there, and I lifted a bit more and all that, and people are looking at you. No, you don't need that. It can be private. You can also test your memory by memorizing it before you go in and record it in the changing room. Have conversations, have accountability buddies. Writing sessions also track evidence, whatever way you can build on the numbers and record them. Look, it is a fact that confidence might come a little bit later, so expect that. Many people quit because confidence does not support their activity and it's not happening immediately. But these studies show that confidence often follows repetition. So get up and running, get up and moving, get up and writing, get up and doing the simple things well. Now, you've already come to halfway-ish between now and the end of the video. So if you like it, please do show that to a like. Please hit comment and let's have a simple dialogue. I can help you, and I can certainly help you more by the fact that you subscribe. I'll repeat this and keep doing the research, keep looking into the research for you. Use self-talk strategically. Verbal self-persuasion ranked surprisingly high in the research. So try, I've done difficult things before. Yes, you have. You have decades behind you. You have a couple of decades as being an adult. You've done independent things before. Sure, you failed, but you've also succeeded in other aspects. Things that are simple to you and come naturally to you do not come to others. They have anxieties and depressions around those things. You don't. The people that are actually hiding those things away, and even psychology hasn't found certain fears and illnesses of the mind yet with regard to things that you can do in your sleep. So give yourself a clap on the back. Reduce friction. The easier the action, the greater the repetition. I only touched on, but I'll emphasize a little bit more. Whatever's easiest for you to do, you can do it again. Remember, the athlete, when they're younger, they know what it feels to go a little bit further. And before you know it, you're going much faster. The greater the repetition, the greater the habit and strength. Remember, it ain't getting out there and doing it and having the gold medal. It's actually having the habit built in where the mind is just pulling the body outside to do it. And it's the same for all habits in whatever action you're trying to take. But with regard to your confidence, prepare an emergency version. One study used emergency habits and had a shortened version for the difficult days, the off days. For example, if you're in the gym and you're doing or want to do 45 minutes, you might just do 5 minutes and do the worst particular exercises like your push-ups or your sit-ups, just to make sure you want to get that buzz moment at the end of your 6 weeks or your 6 months or whatever it is that you're doing in the gym. And that's just an example. It's the same with writing. If you get to say 100 words after a couple of days and you're having a bad day, then, well, what's the part of the writing you really find difficult? Well, maybe it isn't actually writing 100 words today. It's actually going through and editing it. Look at it like that. And then you're actually making yourself a habit. And on the 7th day, maybe the difficult day, you have the habit of editing. And then you'll improve overall. And you're creating the attention to detail with your workload. Redefine leadership confidence. Leadership confidence may not come from feeling powerful. It may come from repeatedly proving, I do what I say I will do. And you know what? That's the promise to you yourself. And that's where your identity lies. Be honest with yourself. I cannot be honest with you except to produce what I can do. And then when I get to know you, sure, then I'm loyally linked in with you. But you are loyally linked in with yourself. You've been around all of your breathing life with one person, and that's yourself. So do what you say you're going to do for yourself. My takeaway is that, look, in your 40s, it's often seen if there's a mid-career confidence struggle that it's to do with motivation. But these studies suggest that it may actually have to do with evidence problems. The human brain, that is your brain, actually believes in repeated proof rather than repeated encouragement. You're down, but you're not out. In this video, I'm looking at how to rebuild self-esteem when life has knocked you about. It's put you down, but I'm a best-selling author and I'm a middle-aged guy. I've been there myself. So I'm going to look at the research now and all of the science together with my thoughts and analysis throughout. Firstly, let's look at how you're damaging your self-esteem. I'm no good, but I'll never be any better. That could be the thoughts of you if you have low self-esteem, because according to Orse and Robbins researchers, they've looked at adolescence through to the 20s and early adulthood, where self-esteem is growing and it peaks at about 50 years of age. And then in old age, believe it or not, it's similar to adolescence where it wanes down. So how can we fix it? We fix it by self-awareness. The first step in addressing low self-esteem is to recognize and acknowledge its presence. And therein, that piece of research just gives you a fantastic scope at which to look out for the drop in your self-esteem. Now, fixing it involves identifying negative thoughts and beliefs about oneself, about yourself. Think of your physical body. If we think of the trajectory there of what the researchers said, we can see how adolescents have often huge problem with their body image, how we develop sometimes very awkwardly. One part of the body grows longer and faster than the other, and then it catches up eventually in adulthood. And in old age as well, you become more decrepit and stooped over, and wrinkles, grey hairs and so on begin to show. So being more aware of your changes in your body and of course in your mind, these negative thoughts are huge. Identify triggers as well. Really important. Why? Because triggers will push you towards feelings of having these negative thoughts in the first place. So pay attention to any situations or feelings of being around the wrong people who look at you just for your looks, look and address you just because of a certain age group. Ageism is another thing. So understand these triggers and know that individually and collectively you can develop coping strategies. Collectively, of course, with people maybe your own age, or people who have a lower self-esteem, if there's a group out there, a support group, and know that your underlying issues of the triggers that can come along can contribute to negative self-perception as well. Challenge yourself. Challenge negative thoughts by reframing them. If you can reframe them, just kind of tilt them a little away, and then you'll see them from like a 3D version, from a different angle, and you'll know that maybe not everybody sees you in this way. And in fact, maybe people see your depth, your wisdom, your maturity, and all the different things. Even as an adolescent, you might be mature and have more depth than somebody that's 20 years older than you, for sure. Instead of accepting self-critical thoughts about your value, question the accuracy and the objective validity. So think, hey, is there proof? People say I'm stupid, but am I actually stupid? I'm passing all my tests in school. So how could I be actually seen as stupid? Look for evidence that contradicts negative beliefs and replace them then with some more realistic and positive affirmations. Take it from where you are to where you can improve naturally or with the ability that you're God-given, that you have rightfully. Another one is to build self-compassion. Start by perhaps looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is what I am. Here's the age I'm at. Here's the status I'm at. Here's where my relationships are at. Now, what do I want to change? Think about it. Have a conversation with yourself in the mirror and think about that. And then sprinkle it with kindness, understanding, and acceptance of where you are at the moment. Give yourself logical aims and goals to go forward with. Regard your self-esteem, especially in moments of failure or self-doubt. You have to cushion that belief. You are with yourself 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, all the years of your life. So you need that acceptance. You need to recognize that everybody makes mistakes. We all do. And we do have setbacks. There's roadblocks in the way, and we have to be able to accept that, to build and reframe things for ourselves. When I say to, even as an older person, and that self-esteem perhaps is crumbling or challenging yourself, that you must have goals. They can be small, minute, and short-term goals, but you have to set realistic ones. If you do, then these, even if they're larger and longer term, you can break them down into subsets, smaller types of goals in that they're more achievable steps, and celebrate each one of them because you are making progress. Remember, your self-esteem is largely surrounded by self-perception. So any progress along the way is self-assessed, even if you're objectively thinking about things. Setting realistic goals helps build confidence and a thing called self-efficacy, which can give you that sense of accomplishment and knowing that, hey, I'm good here. I can go forward in some way. Because at the end of it all, this is what we want to do. We want to focus, and that's the next thing, on our strengths. By focusing on our strengths, we're identifying what it is that I am good at. My talents, my innate abilities, perhaps my abilities. Mentally, the strength I have with regard to things, the way I can think about certain things or talk about certain things, even if you're aging and your body is wilting a little bit on you. So look at those strengths, look at your relationships, things that you've invested in over the years. Draw off those in later years or in years when you feel that you don't have that self-esteem. When you're younger, of course, perhaps look at your dreams, look at your physical abilities, what you can do to change things. You have that energy going forward. If you have a goal and you are taking action, even if you are failing, you are further forward than everybody else, because by failing, you are learning, and by learning, you're building a huge ability to be more resilient in the future. Have people around you as much as possible at all times. That would give you support. Seek it if you're not receiving it. It is worth a lot of money by having the right people in your corner. So reach out to friends, family members, tell them how you feel. Try to get that empathy piece going on. By giving, you will receive. If you give of yourself and share where you're at in a certain moment, there will be somebody out there that will put their arms around you, if only emotionally, if only momentarily, and come in and say, like, okay, you're at this point now, we want to move forward. Let's try and make a plan here. And that's a goal. That's a way of strategizing. Practice self-care. Prioritize this because it activates physical, emotional, mental wellness and well-being by exercising, even if you're growing older, to your capabilities, by eating a better diet and having and making sure you have the proper sleep, and knowing that stresses and strains will come your way. So therefore have relaxation techniques that you can draw upon, and even hobbies, distractions, things that will give you fulfillment and a helping hand along the way. Limit your negative influences too, because Negativity is not required, especially if you are feeling that the self-esteem is on the wane. You deserve better. You can do better. By putting all of these things into your concoction of proactive well-being, you'll be able to develop a better self-esteem. And if not, seek professional help, medical people, and so on that are out there certified, qualified, and well experienced. Now that we've learned about how we can damage our self-esteem, we need to look at and figure out how to finally love yourself. Oh, what the hell? Who did that? Same hand? Oh, I need to love myself, and that's what we're looking at right now. In 1939, believe it or not, researcher William Allinson looked at how modern culture is perceived by taboo selfishness. It teaches, he thought at the time, us to be selfish, and that selfish is sinful, and that loving ourselves is virtuous. What about things that have happened since then? Let's look at practicing self-acceptance. By accepting yourself as you are right now, in this world right now, and far later than 1939 for sure, look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at your flaws and your imperfections, and just say, look, that's it. I'm me. I can't be any different. I have this shaped nose, I have these shaped ears. It is what it is. And put your energy then into improving where you are with yourself, in your personality, in yourself, into your mind, developing cognitive skills, developing how you think, developing how you can prepare the world for yourself. The next one, and where we can look at ourselves and loving ourselves more, is practicing self-compassion. Very closely linked to the first one. But if you treat yourself with kindness and compassion, and understand, especially during difficult times, or when you're facing challenges, this is going to be a real game changer. You want to be able to accept yourself the way you are, know your identity, because this is a huge thing for people. And once you identify with something that, by the way, will not just be your identity at 20 years of age, but will be at 40, 60, 80, and so on, you're not going to be the same successful athlete, for example, at 20 years of age as you will be in your old age. So the longer you really core down and drill down into what you are as a human being, you can sustain that belief throughout the life course for 60, 80 plus years. Find out exactly as much as you can when you're young, and then love yourself for it. Have that compassion when you're facing challenges. Then be gentle with yourself and offer that same empathy that you would with others to yourself, so that you can support yourself, and that you would offer, if you had a friend in front of you, a true friend, look at yourself in the same way. A lot of people don't fill their own cup first. They look at trying to help others, and that's not good. When you do not have energy in the first place and you're not in a good place, you need to be able to have a good place for yourself as well. Setting boundaries is another one. Establish healthy boundaries. Why? Well, you want to protect your emotional and physical well-being. Your mind and your body are linked. And so if you're damaging yourself externally, physically, if you're taking too much alcohol, too many drugs, prescription drugs even, and you're abusing yourself in that way, it's affecting your emotions in the same way as that emotionally you can intake things, you can be around the wrong people, and suddenly physically you have a reaction, or you get angry, or you get tense, and that's not good either. Our body's not meant to be like that. So learn to say no to things, and don't align. If they don't align with your values, make sure you say no straight away. Don't even contemplate them. Don't even put them in your mind's eye. Know your values and your priorities. That goes back to your identity a lot as well. And prioritize self-care. Have that self-respect. Next thing is practice forgiveness. You're a great person. Right now, you're surviving. You're doing things well. So why not forgive yourself in the moment when things happen? Draw a line under it. If you learn from it, if you genuinely want to make a difference for yourself and for others, you forgive yourself for past mistakes and failures. And from there, you can actually have this acceptance. Rather than holding on to guilt, shame, or resentment, these things will just dig in to you, as I mentioned there, physically, things can come out. So let go of the past and focus on moving forward with compassion and self-acceptance. Practice self-care as well. Self-care is so important. If you prioritize it, then it will nourish your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, every part of you. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. The basic things, at least 7 hours. Eat well. Educate yourself on eating and sleep. Educate yourself on exercise. We all need it. Spend more time in nature. Do the simple things that cost no money, but enable you to have a much better and the maximized self-care that you can have. Make sure that there's many techniques, hobbies out there that you can do, techniques to relax, techniques to be on your own, such as even reading or writing, things like that, and hobbies that will fulfill you socially and intimately too. Set realistic goals. Often we start going, gosh, I'd love to be on television. Gosh, I'd love to do this. I'd love to be in the circus. Be realistic with yourself. Maybe you don't have a good presentation skill. Maybe you don't have a good technique in walking a tightrope. Maybe you haven't done the hard graft that others have done to present themselves on television that have allowed a person to be in a circus. These things can happen from a very young age. Practice makes perfect for sure, but that doesn't mean to say you can't do that. But have realistic goals and know that you can attain them. You don't want to push things out so far in the future where they're just going to stretch you in the present time and you're going to lose all your friends and you're going to have so much time to catch up on what you should have done years and years ago to practice this tightrope-ology or these skills enabling you to be on a tightrope in the first place. So you want to make sure it's realistic and time-bound and so that you can attain it. That's being good to yourself as well. Engage in positive self-talk. Imagine the day, right, where you wake up in the morning and everything is positive coming in. All the external stuff is coming in and you're accepting it and you start thinking positively and you put a positive spin on things and you start accepting things positively and every thought is creative, every thought is imaginary, every thought is realistic, every thought is actionable and there's no wasted energy. If you can just push the energy towards positive self-talk, that's what you're doing. You're plugging it in. You're saying this is more powerful. It's going to crush all the negative thoughts because we do have negative thoughts, a lot of them, thousands of them every day. So we need to bring the ones to the top so that we can see them floating at the top. We don't know what's on the bottom. Them positive thoughts are going to guide us to a wonderful time. So really engage in definitely consciously, positively talking to yourself in a very, very bright manner. You have unique abilities, use them. That's loving yourself too. Surround yourself with wonderful, positive people. Support system is so important in this life. If you can get good supporters that will be by your side no matter what, that is what we're looking for. That is what will enable you to have a fantastic self-esteem, and these people in turn can be supported by you, and you tightening the relationships. You have great friends, then a tight family weave, and you even have mentorship as such. So seek out relationships and even communities and groups that will nurture your growth, your well-being, and your self-esteem. And if you do require it, even for a short time, seek professional help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is a strength. This is what can help you in the long run and will help you for sure. A little bit of investment over the short term will create a lifetime of opening, creativity, of self-awareness, of self-love, and so on. The trouble with our self-esteem can often be our inner critic. So let's look at how to turn your inner critic into a positive one. I hate myself. That is a reaction of a client of mine and what they actually thought regularly when they were criticizing their inner voice and they were suicidal at the time. Thankfully, we worked through it and things went well after that. They're alive and well and kicking. And that's what I want you to be with regard to this video. We'll look at how to be nice to yourself and your inner voice, just to put it to one side. One way of doing that is to recognize and acknowledge that If you start by becoming aware of your inner voice in the first place, that's actually there, acknowledge it and recognize that it's part of you. It's there for a reason, but it doesn't define your entire identity. And that reason, by the way, doesn't have to be a negative one. Just because we have an inner voice that's nagging away and just knocking away, doesn't mean to say that that's trying to just pull us back from everything. Rather, the inner voice is there to give us safety. It's so simple. Safety is the thing that it's there for. That's why we cannot be critical of it. We need to recognize it and acknowledge it. It's almost like when you have to park up a boat in the water, you have to put down an anchor, right? It's there for safety. So with that, like a lock on a door, it's there for safety. You don't want to get rid of it. You want to recognize and acknowledge it, but build from there. The safety can then, of course, mean that after that, it can be very, very positive in life. Another thing to do with it is to externalize the voice of it, right? Give your critical inner voice an external persona or name, separated from what you are doing. Distract yourself from this inner voice and say, yeah, okay, I acknowledge that. I recognize those criticisms, those possibilities. Then go, hey, look, that's coming from a safety point of view. And then you can say, right, I still want to do this. I want to be daring. I want to chance something. I want to go out and create an opportunity for myself in life. That's my brakes over here, but I want to, go ahead with that. I've kept my inner voice in mind by acknowledging it, but now I'm externalizing the voice by giving myself a separate persona. This can help you distance yourself from this inner voice so that you can actually take the brakes off, unlock the door so that you can take the anchor and just go and flow away from this trappings of the inner voice. Always, though, acknowledge yourself that when this is happening or when you're putting this into place, that do question its validity, the inner voice that is. So take from the point of view of the safety, right? Like whenever the critical voice speaks up, ask yourself if what it's saying is really true. Okay, so you can rationalize it, be objective towards it. A lot of what we can do with our inner voice is just pull ourselves aside and not exactly try to look at it away from us, but just look at the words that are coming up with regard to what the inner voice is saying and the tone of what's being said as well. It's a safety anchor, it's a lock, it's a feature that's there for you that's not going to go away, by the way, but you can be reasonable with this. So question its validity so that you can use it to help you, and it can be in the back of your mind as you go forward and try to progress and do things that you truly want to do. And rather than having that conflict of the inner voice dragging you down once you're trying to actually go ahead and it's pulling and pushing, it's push and pull and all of these things, rather than that, question the validity, and you'll finally see in many instances that the validity, it's not valid in many ways. It's just overly safe, overly cautious. And so you can release yourself of the trappings of it in many instances, but it will be there each time you try to progress and do different things. Try to practice self-compassion because it will be there. So therefore you have to acknowledge it and you have to kind of go, well, all right, you're not going to go anywhere, so I may as well be happy with you, right? It's there for a reason. If the worst choice was made by you in your life, don't ever say the inner voice didn't say, hang on a second, do not do this. This is the worst decision you can make in your life. If you do this, everything will end. If you do this, everything will go bad. And it's a permanent state of badness and ending. So therefore, I'm the inner voice. Listen to me. So by practicing self-compassion for that potential worst case scenario, most of the time, the inner voice, you can reason with it, you can question validity, and you can practice the self-compassion. Think of patting it and going, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm patient with you. I can step away from it for a second or for a little while. I can analyze it. But all the while you're treating yourself, because your inner voice is your inner voice, you're treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would do an offer to a friend. So welcome it.
Know that it will be there, and then that it won't pull you back. Positive affirmations. These counteract negative self-talk. And when I speak about this, and we're going off and I'm talking about negative self-talk most exclusively away from the inner voice. No, I'm not. But the inner voice, if we continually listen to perhaps we call it safety of the inner voice, then what can happen is that we don't take action. We don't do certain things. We don't progress. We look back and we regret things. We say, oh, if only I did that. It was so simple to do. I look at it now. Everyone else did it. Why didn't I do it? And now I regret things. Rather than doing that, that's allowing the inner voice spiral out of control. If you can check it, do all of the things we've spoken about already, and support it with positive affirmations, because there will potentially be a lot of negativity coming out of that inner voice. So if you can cushion it around with positive affirmations, then you're creating a list of good things that you can react to the inner voice, even when it continuously, it will continuously come up and rear its head in the future. When you get into scary situations, when you get into situations that could potentially be damaging to you. So if you have this list of positive affirmations created specific to the situation, specific to your feelings and the way you react to things, well, then you're cushioning it and you're allowing yourself to progress, and that inner voice comes along despite it being there in the first place. Focus on progress as well. Instead of trying to aim for perfection, just think of, can I go forward a little bit more? Think of a very controlling or very caring parent. Control and care can be together if they're very protective. Maybe you're a parent yourself and you want to protect. That's normal and natural, right? But the minute as a child that you can kind of get away from the clutches of all of that and get a little bit of independence, you feel great. You haven't upset the parent, you're still caring, you don't want them to feel very bad about things, but you feel you've got a little bit of independence, which therefore gives you this feeling of progress. In other words, maybe they told you not to go away from the house for more than an hour, you've got an hour and 5 minutes. That extra 5 minutes probably is a feeling of great independence, more so than the first hour, because you've slightly bent the rules, you've slightly decided to just go off your own intuition, and it has worked, and that's progress. So little mini bits of progress are going to be not just progressive, but beneficial. And it means that, hey, inner voice, you're over there. I am in control of my actions here as well. Mindfulness and meditation will also help you, because if you practice mindfulness and meditation, it creates this distance from your thoughts. I mentioned the analogy of cushioning around the inner voice. This is definitely what this does as well. It creates a kind of bubble as such around the inner voice, so that if you think of transparent bubble, you can look at things through and you can look at the inner voice, but it can't get to you because there's that bubble in between. So it gives you that space, that gap, that freedom. And by practicing meditation, the beautiful thing is it continues to evolve, it continues to make you even clearer. And when things are thrown at you externally, the inner voice goes, oh no, here's how you need to react, be safe, do this, cautious, negative. You can come from a point of view of having this huge bubble, transparent bubble where you can look through, see the inner voice and go, okay, take what you're saying, but it's not going to disrupt my plans, because I'm still going to go ahead and do this or make a situation better in doing things differently and so on. Lastly, cultivate gratitude. Have gratitude around the inner voice and say, thank you for being here. Same as having a friend. This is the most knowledgeable, wise friend you will ever have. It's there for you to say, at one stage, I will be correct. That's what the inner voice is saying. I will be correct. And because we all will die, so the inner voice will eventually get to you in that way. And you have to go, well, okay, you're right. Hands down, you won the game of cards, and that's it. But there's a hell of a lot of years in between where you can enjoy yourself, where you can take opportunities, you can make opportunities, you can take action, you go out there and meet people, you can do things you know you can do. And that's what life is all about.
So we figured out how we can be so harsh on ourselves. So now let's look more specifically to see why your inner voice is so cruel. You're an idiot and you know it. You're no good. That is my cruel inner voice. I'm sure you have one too, but we don't have to listen to it. But let's deal right now with your cruel inner voice and see what it means. You see, that harsh, critical voice in your head can be exhausting. It's never good news. First things first is we need to understand where the inner voice is coming from in the first place. It's not random. It's coming from a couple of places. Number one, it's coming from past experiences. So if you've had, say, harsh parents, teachers, bullies, or societal expectations, unfortunately, you are so intelligent, your memory is so long, these things stay and have some form of trace in you that it can be triggered in the moment by not necessarily a teacher or a parent or a bully, because you may be an adult and you mightn't have any of those people around you, but it can be triggered by a word they would have used. A parent said something, they had a phrase, a teacher did something, maybe they used their hands in a certain way, they looked like them, or indeed something, the time of year, the smell, the sounds. By triggering, you're right back into where you felt. And this is tough. Perfectionism is another thing. The belief that you must be flawless to be worthy. And it's not true. You're beautiful. So why not be that? It's going to help you now and in the future. It could be also fear and protection. We have this natural urge to protect ourselves. We don't want to be being insulted or aggressed towards why we want that. Sometimes the inner critic tries to keep you from failure or rejection. Then there's challenging times, like call out its lies. If that inner voice is saying things and it isn't true, rationally you know so, your cruel inner voice is in truth not going to tell you the truth always, because it can wind up distorted thinking. It can exaggerate failures and minimize successes. It can have an all or nothing mindset and saying, I always mess up. And are you good enough for extreme things and thoughts that are being said? It can also have negative biases. The brain, you see, remembers criticisms and compliments, and it can wire it back in through your memory to the present moment to flicker back towards you and give you that jolt where you feel the cruel inner voice coming along. But in truth, it's mixing up positive words with negative, and suddenly you're confused. What do? Well, you can write down your thoughts. You can see it on a piece of paper and know that, look, that's absolute junk. That's not true. That's not real. Rationalize it. That's where our thinking brain comes in, and it can be our friend. That then feeds back into the subconscious, which will be your inner voice later on. So the more times you do these exercises, such as writing down things and rationalizing them, the better it will be in the longer term. Would I say this to a friend? Ask yourself that question. Like, if it's my head and there's a voice there, surely it's going to be my friend, or at least guide me in some way. So I'm going to guide my friend, haven't I? Give them the best advice that I know for them. So would I say this to a friend? If not, why say it to yourself? It just doesn't make sense. So reframe it. Instead of, I'm failing, try, I had a setback today, but look, I can learn from it. Because construction of the future and giving a plan to ourselves is what we love in our brains. Our prefrontal cortex loves planning, and it loves making sure that we have something to go towards our goals. So we're taking the negative, putting it on paper, looking at it, and then summarizing towards ourselves and promising ourselves in the future that we're going to improve. That's a good thing. And the reality is, our voice may sound like ourselves. It's just negative. But we can replace with a kinder voice. So if your self-talk has been cruel for years, it can still be done. You just have to be stronger with what you're doing right now and in a more positive and supportive role. It won't change overnight, but thankfully you'll be here longer than a few years. So try to start training now. Be consistent. Use affirmations so that if you're really challenged, really tired, and lacking energy and nutrition, and that's when the thoughts, they really become loud, the negative ones, and they can guide you to do silly things and things you know you'll regret, but you just can't help reacting in that way. The affirmations will come in and they'll bash them up because they are the ones that you are pushing. You have the energy to do that. I am learning and I am growing. Yeah, by saying something like that, you're admitting the past wasn't the best place for me, but I am going to have a better future. Celebrate small wins and notice that when you have them, you can build, make the small wins bigger, make it to a brilliant success for you in the future. It's about reframing your thoughts, making them more positive and positive constantly in the future. Then you can make sure that you are not your thoughts. Like, your inner critic is just one part of your mind. It doesn't own you or define you. So if it's talking to you loud and proud about negative things and making or trying to get you to be down and do things you know you'll regret, you can grab it by the throat and say, look, okay, that's just that talking. That's not me. I'm the guy with the hand. I'm the person who can control things here. So you can then use softer things like mindfulness to get the stress levels down. Because even if you're not going through a stressful situation at work or at home or in your relationships or in your personal life and your health, there can be a accumulation of things that have gone on and you didn't realize. You thought you floated through, but you're not off the hook right now. So you need the tools like mindfulness to observe your thoughts without then reacting emotionally. Shifting your focus is giving you a welcome distraction. It's strengthening the positive voice. What you focus on grows, and it truly does. Instead of like battling the inner voice 24/7, waking up in the middle of the night, not getting any rest from it, you need to start using your pen or pencil, journaling positive experiences and tracking your wins, naming them like a league table in sport where you can see the good times and see the bad times, actually counting them, and you will improve. The wins will make sure that the negatives and the losses are going the other side of things. And you know what? There's down the middle too. You can have draws where, okay, I tried to be positive, it didn't work, but it didn't work out too badly, so you're on the up. Be gracious about the things you can control. They will increase because you, at the end of the day, through being a small child, going through the parent problems or with a teacher or whatever else, even though you're small and energetic and you listened and you looked, you knew that you didn't have power. So you processed it in a way to just survive and get to the next moment. You had no experience. Now you're stronger, you're bigger, you're an adult. This is it. So you have the control over those thoughts. So if you surround yourself with supportive people, you can even have a conversation, show them this video, blow it up for yourself so that it can be the standardized foundation of where you're going to work from. Watch this video 10 times, watch it many times, or go and make sure something that was said in this video helps you in the future, that you're redirected towards some other form of help. That would indeed help me help you even more. And I'd be very, very happy that it's helping you and others around you. Lastly, try therapy, deep work, because the things like cognitive behavioral therapy will give you techniques as well as going to the basis of what's happening, and so that you can get further along the line and be good to yourself with your self-talk and that critical inner voice. It's there to help us, but not to hinder us. And I'm hopefully have helped you. And if I have, thank you for giving me of your time and knowing that my voice could replace the critical inner one. And hopefully in the future, we'll get to see it face to face. Who knows? Before we move on now, we have to realize that there are times of self-sabotage going on. So let's find out now how to escape it.
It's a habit I can't break. Or can I? We're looking at that, how to break habits and your destructive self right now. One of the things in the research by Robbins and Costa has been that the difficulty with breaking habits in the first place and seeing your self-destruction is that everybody has a different definition of what a habit is. But how can we use what we know generally about habits to stop us from self-destructing? One is to self-reflect and have more awareness. Start by reflecting on your thoughts, your behaviors and patterns, because we all have them, right? Obviously we have thoughts. We have thousands of thoughts every day. We don't, by the way, have to pay attention to all of them. This creates behavior, and then there's patterns. People can see these little patterns. They know that a good friend could say one little thing and that's a trigger. And so suddenly we're going down that path, our thought pattern, and one thing leads to another. And they can kind of set us up. We can do the same thing for others. But if you're self-reflecting on this, you can see that trigger, you can step away from it, and you know, hey, I'm very weak on that. I wish I was not that weak, but I'm weak in that area. I know it seems obvious. You can become extremely self-aware of it, but you need to pull back. Otherwise, you'll go down that alley like a long, fast train, and you can't stop yourself. It's just too attractive. The pattern is well worn. The path is grooved and ingrained there on the sod. So you need to pull back, see the trigger, recognize it. And I mentioned friendship. Those around you can be ones that help you from self-destructing. If you tell them, if you have a laugh even about their personal triggers and your personal triggers too. By doing that, you're helping yourself by allowing others, and you're also helping them as well. So it's a good thing. Secondly, identify specific habits to change. Hey, look, my weakness is this, friend. Can't you see it? Give me a ring, give me a call, give me a text, whatever, with regard to when this trigger is hit, because you know there's only a certain amount of time. So if I have those habits to change, what have you? You're opening this friendship, you're opening the loop, you're continuing to improve for you, for them. And if there's specific, very specific habits to change, once you get into the nitty-gritty, you can identify those, and the behavior then will change around it, so you can improve and focus on one at a time. Why? Because you want to stop this feeling of overwhelm. You already know that you're the center of attention in your world, and you need work. And so you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself while you're doing it as well. You need to also understand the root causes, like cognitively. When you sit down with a friend, when you self-analyze and become aware of things, you need to be able to just calm, rather than actually it being a moment of being triggered. You need to be able to just go, maybe on a sheet of paper with a pencil or pen, draw it out or write it down, where you go, look, the root cause is because in the past this happened to me, and now I have these little behaviors, right? Just accept it. It mightn't be that there's a link between what happened in that root cause specifically towards your behaviors. They might be completely irrelevant, and you don't even need to self-analyze that. But if you've suffered a trauma, if you suffered something really big or a pressurized situation, and again, you don't have to say that to your friend. You might say, I wonder why I do this. I always wonder. Behind it all, you might know, they might know, you might even talk about it, and that's okay. Rather than introducing that trauma, there's no point. It might be embarrassment or shame from that, that's okay. But if you understand that root cause, you can explore the underlying reasons, beliefs, and the drive that's pushing that habitual self-destructive button as such. Another one is to very carefully challenge your limiting beliefs, often with cultural references or religious beliefs, or even beliefs about your gender, your sexuality. We might think, hey, because I'm this age, because I'm this colour, because I'm from here, this is what I need to do. Why? Because everybody in my age group gets married. Everybody from my culture does this at a certain time of life, and I'm now at that, and so on. But rather than that, you are an individual. You are unique. We're trying to get to the triggers that limit your abilities. If you have the ability, therefore, you should be pushing yourself down that track. It can often be that someone in your age group, your culture, your gender, whatever, is limiting themselves. And we're all limiting ourselves. In fact, we are truly all limiting ourselves in many ways. So challenge your limiting beliefs. You have one, go at the merry-go-round. So challenge and reframe your negative or self-limiting habits and reinforce what you know you can do in a very positive way. In doing that, then, of course, you will achieve and you'll feel better and you're growing. And in doing that as well, another thing you need to do is set very clear goals. Now, I've mentioned the word specificity. No, I haven't, because that's a new word. If I mentioned the correct word, that would be more specific. There is where we're at. If you're specific, though, and clear with your goals, you're allowing yourself to see a path which is attainable, which you can measure, which you have strengths towards. Then you can be able to break into those aforementioned negative patterns, those triggers, those self-limiting beliefs. Make your goals very relevant as well and time-bound so that you can increase accountability and track your progress over time. By then replacing negative habits with positive alternatives, you're allowing to identify positive habits and actions or even activities that can replace your negative habits. So choose behaviors that will be linked in with what truly you value in life, and these support your long-term goals. That way, it's not like career on one path and one objective, and then life goes on the other. Rather, the two of them merge. It's much simpler. You're doing things at one time in a 24-hour period where we all feel we lack time. You're doing two things at once at the same time and feeling great about it because it's chipping away at two lists, one a career list and two a life list. So if you can align as closely as possible with your true intimate values, you're going to be able to help yourself in the short and longer term. The next thing then is creating supportive environment. You want people that want to see you grow around you, rather than having people that are pulling you back all of the time, negative. A lot of that stuff is on them. It's not something that you need to worry about because that's their own negativity. Sure, there might be familiar people in your family or maybe friends that you have to be around for a certain amount of time. There might be an economic link with that. But just because you got to be around them, for example, with birthdays or Christmas or things like that, it doesn't mean to say you can't put them on a timer and go, right, I need to spend the majority of this day with somebody else or even on my own because I need to reframe all of this negativity because it's from the past, and now I need to create a supportive environment for myself so that positive change is possible. If you're around the wrong people, you won't have that all of the time. Rather, you'll be pulled back in the longer term as well. Practice mindfulness, self-compassion. I mentioned that if you went away on a big day like a birthday or Christmas, you have to get a supercharge of the time that's alone with yourself. So change your brain waves, meditate, go and do deep breathing, journaling, increase your self-awareness and presence in the moments that you have alone. I remember 2020, I was alone on Christmas Day and I did such positive things, supercharged me throughout that winter, and it was a real great personal time for me. So if you have that self-compassion, use it for yourself to develop in the long run as well. Break the habit loop. We're often going, hey, habits, but if we know and recognize that we have triggers, it's going to happen again. We know that it's almost like a fear that it's going to happen again, but if you can break that loop, and if required, do go and seek professional help. It's worth it. You are gold. In the long run, you will thank me, maybe. You'll certainly thank yourself. If you want to thank me, you can hit the subscribe button. If not, though, please do. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. If you subscribe, comment to say that you have, and we'll look after you.